hello, and welcome back to What We Pod in the Shadows, where we are discussing the sixth and final season of What We Do in the Shadows. This will be spoiler heavy, so if you haven't watched the episode yet, you might want to do that first. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
And we are going to be talking about this week's episode, which is called Laszlo's Father. And so we meet the ghost of Laszlo's dad.
Nandor and Naja discovered they have neighbors on the other side of the house after discovering a window they used to have covered. I'm not totally sure how there's only one window facing that side of the house, and have they just not been outside their house to notice that there's a house over there with neighbors? But anyway, they're having a good time with it.
Yeah, they do strike me as extremely oblivious, so maybe it shouldn't be a huge surprise that they didn't even know. Oh yeah, we have next door neighbors on the other side too.
Yeah, so Sean and was it Charmaine?
I think it's Charmaine. Yeah.
Are on the one side, so these are on the other side. The people who inhabit the house keep changing, they say. And so Nandor and Naja think they're shapeshifters, but Guillermo keeps trying to convince them it's an Airbnb.
They're terrified because they've had bad experiences with shapeshifters in the past. Nandor even used to date one for 4 years, but they broke up after she turned into a possum for 6 months. Laszlo keeps hearing weird noises in the house, which turns out to be the ghost of his father, Lord Roderick Ravensworth, played by Steve Coogan. Laszlo tells him to fuck off and leaves the room when they discover him, but Nadja and her ghosts all talk to him and are charmed, even though he's kind of as crass as Laszlo. He says his unfinished business is rebuilding his relationship with Laszlo.
Okay, so after they were hearing noises, Naja kind of performs like a seance, and that's when the ghost of his father appears. So they kind of have like a meeting so that everyone can meet Lord Roderick Ravensworth. Apparently, he had tried to make a monster as well, but never reanimated it. They all like him, much to Laszlo's dismay. So he's pretty charismatic, I guess, at least to them.
Yeah.
Colin offers to show Roderick around the house and shows him his Funko Pop collection, which is behind a metal cabinet with a combination. So, like, kind of almost in a vault.
Yeah.
Roderick seems interested, but Laszlo shows up with his own ghost busting device, sort of an atomic vacuum. I'm not totally sure if Roderick is interested in the Funkos or if that's just kind of what he does to kind of charm people, is so like take an interest in something that they're doing.
Yeah.
Naja and Laszlo continue to watch the neighbors through a telescope. She wants to go next door and kill them. Roderick says he wants to learn more about their lives as Laszlo is about to shoot him with the device. He agrees to give him a second chance, but will obliterate him if he makes a wrong move.
Roderick wants the vampires to show him modern day New York. Roderick is surprised that Laszlo isn't bringing anyone to attend to him, so Laszlo begs Guillermo to pretend to be his manservant for the trip. Laszlo's car is ancient and doesn't work properly, however. Roderick grills Guillermo about whether or not Guillermo tends to his every need, which makes Guillermo understandably very uncomfortable. Nadja sneaks into the Airbnb while Nandor watches from the house. The welcome mat apparently counts as an invitation into the house. He sees the shapeshifters gathering weapons and tries to warn Nadja via walkie-talkie.
So when they're gonna go look at New York, which I don't think they ever do, Colin wants to show him the M&M store in Times Square. Colin slips and calls Roderick Daddy as Laszlo's car explodes, which Nandor thinks the shapeshifters cause. In his excitement, Nandor shoots a camera crew member, Nate, in the leg with an arrow, and Nadja jumps out of the neighbor's second floor window to get away from the shapeshifters. So just kind of like a lot going on. And for some reason, like when they were using the walkie-talkies, Nadja's code name is Rawhide. I don't know why.
I didn't get that, and I can't remember what Nandor's code name was. I don't feel
I'm
like
not sure if he even had one because I think I was trying to listen for it and I don't know if I ever heard it.
I think he did. I just cannot remember what it was. I remember him going like such and such to Rawhide at one point.
Oh, okay.
But I think it was maybe mentioned once.
And like Roderick saying that stuff to Guillermo, he also kind of like, so Guillermo was uncomfortable with it, but he kept sort of flirting with Nadja and then like mistook her for like a hooker or something at one point, but she just was flattered by the attention. Naja and Nandor suspect each other of being shapeshifters because they were separated from each other. So now they're like, well, you could be a shapeshifter. And well, but you were over there and you could be a shapeshifter. Colin and Roderick bond. Naja can't remember anything about Nandor, so that he ties her up in the silver chains, trying to, like, if you can answer these questions, I'll know it's really you. But then she can't remember, like, what his favorite whatever is because she
doesn't actually give a fuck.
Doesn't pay attention to him. So then that finally does convince him that it really is her. But I feel like it's more disrespect for Nandor.
Yeah. They're so rude to each other in this house.
If they'd let him have the little space under the stairs, he wouldn't have had to try to raise an army. Okay, so the lady that owns the Airbnb comes over after reports, I guess, from the people that were staying at the Airbnb of them spying and breaking in and the exploding car, and admits the house is not zoned to be an Airbnb. They work a deal so that they get to use the Airbnb one weekend a month in exchange for keeping their mouths shut.
Laszlo finds Roderick in the lab talking to Cravensworth's monster and is going to try to make amends when he notices the Book of Spirits is open to a spell that would put a spirit in a living body. Laszlo basically says he knew his dad was a selfish bastard all along, and Roderick basically confirms that. Laszlo thinks he wants to inhabit Cravensworth's monster's body, but Roderick is really trying to possess Laszlo. He begins the incantation as Laszlo is almost like drawn towards him. The Cravensworth's monster frees himself and brings Laszlo his ghost-busting device. Laszlo then uses it to suck the soul of his ghostly father into the machine, and it puts him in this little blue hourglass thing.
So they kind of were hashing out like the shit that Roderick did that made Laszlo like not want to have anything to do with him anymore. And one of the things was that he murdered Laszlo's mother. I mean, that should be enough for anyone to be like, yeah, you don't
Absolutely
have to have a relationship with this guy anymore. But I had written down, I'm like, if someone doesn't want to be around their parent, there's probably a good reason.
Absolutely.
I mean, they do crazy stuff on this show, but if he's warning everyone about him, they maybe should have not been kind of forcing it.
Yeah, they always do that trope though, like when they're like, hey, my parent actually sucks ass, and then they'll meet them and they'll be charmed by them, even though they're like, no, they're not a good person. And then I always just like, why didn't you side with her friend?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they would have done. I mean, other than Laszlo sucking him up in the machine, though, like to get rid of him, though, since he is a ghost, because he could just have kept, he could have just hid in the attic or went through like Colin's air vents or whatever to stay away from them. If they were like, no, we're not gonna pay attention to you either. But yeah, I'm not sure what they could have done, but
maybe they could do like an exorcism or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Naja would know how to.
I feel like she would be knowledgeable about that if anyone would.
Do the opposite of her seance thing, or maybe stick him inside of a doll and they could just like bury him or dump him in the ocean or something.
Yeah.
I'm also not sure, like, I sort of understand, like, taking Laszlo's body, but, like, with that book, I mean, I guess maybe he just had to take someone's body from in the house, but he could have used that to take anyone's body.
Yeah.
And would it have even worked since Laszlo was a vampire?
That wasn't clear either. He did say human body.
Yeah. So he might have had to have taken like Guillermo's body or
Cravensworth's
the monster, or I mean, I get Colin is an energy vampire, but he's not really a vampire.
Yeah, he's
maybe Colin. And maybe like that's why I was getting close to Colin. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, they get to use the neighbor's Airbnb one weekend out of the month, and there's like a sign in there that says "Bye Felicia" and "Take Karen with you," which I'm not sure is that from like the Real Housewives or something.
I know "Bye Felicia." I'm pretty sure it's from what's that one called? Is it just Friday?
Oh. Is that what it's in?
I think so.
So, like, Nandor really likes that. So they're over there kind of enjoying the house, like in robes, I think. And we see the neighbor leave and she shapeshifts into a possum. So I'm like, do they all shapeshift into possums? Or is that his ex-girlfriend?
Yeah, that's what I wondered too. I'm leaning towards it probably is. That seems too coincidental.
But how did he not recognize her unless she was in a different shape when she came over?
Probably she was. She was a shapeshifter after.
But it's so weird. Like, why would you want to buy an Airbnb next to your ex-boyfriend's house?
I don't know.
Okay.
Will this ever come up again? I don't know.
Probably not. Colin had a Funko Pop made of Roderick, and Laszlo has to explain that Roderick had to go on a ghost mission so Colin won't be sad. And Laszlo gives Colin the glowing hourglass, which he locks up with his Funko Pops. And that was kind of the end. But Colin kind of was seeing Roderick as like a friend and like father figure and was like really liked him. And then it's like they didn't really want to tell him what they actually did with him.
Yeah.
Or like disappoint him, I guess.
Yeah, but at the same time, I know Laszlo was like jealous of that because he did also, when he turned into a baby, he did very much raise him. And then so him saying like he never had a father figure around, like I could tell that really ticked Laszlo off. He's like, but I was.
Yeah. I guess he meant when he grew up the first time.
I mean, I feel like he seemed like he forgot all the stuff from when he was small child up to a teenager when he went back to his normal form.
I mean, he kind of like grew really fast. So I don't know. I could see him maybe not remembering that. And I could also see Laszlo not being a great dad to him, though, either.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I don't think Laszlo in real life chose to have kids or didn't have kids.
Yeah. Or is we're aware of.
It is kind of weird. He did choose to raise baby Colin Robinson. Or like the house did, I guess.
Yeah.
He kind of did it in secret though.
Yeah.
At first. I forget what the next episode is called already.
Yeah, let me just look at Hulu real quick. It'll say on there. This is the next episode that comes out is called March Madness.
I guess I don't know what it's about. Other than March Madness is usually like basketball.
Yes.
College basketball.
I couldn't even remember it was basketball. I just knew it was sports.
So this kind of didn't have like very much Guillermo in it, and we weren't seeing Canon Capital. And we did see Ravensworth Monster a little bit, but this episode kind of didn't really, I feel like, move the like kind of the plot of the season along. It wasn't anything about, conquering the new world either, which was kind of like the first episode.
Yeah.
So this was a little filler here.
Yeah, so unless like the shapeshifters come back into play later on, I'm not sure.
And I mean, it was interesting to see Laszlo's father, but I mean, I kind of was like suspicious of him like the whole time.
Yes.
I kind of figured there was some angle.
Yeah, my shitty dad senses were tingling, and I was just like, nope.
I guess the shape-shifting thing was fun. It was kind of fun to see Nandor and Naja team up. I'm not sure why the other two, why Colin and Laszlo were not worried about the shapeshifters in the same way.
Yeah, I just enjoyed that. I mean, technically it did end up being shapeshifters, but the people who were staying there probably were just regular humans. So I just thought it was funny, like the weird way in which they perceive things through their vampirism. And they're just like, it can't possibly just be that they're renting the place. Oh no, they're shapeshifters.
Yeah, that like why that there's different people in there every week that they had to be shapeshifters. And then it did end up being that there was a shapeshifter. Because I was thinking maybe shapeshifters didn't even exist, and then we do see that she turns into the possum, which is sort of a weird animal to want to turn into.
Maybe she just thinks possums are neat.
I mean, they do have hands.
Yes, they have little grabby hands.
As too, it was kind of interesting. Laszlo had ghost busting device that he did make, and it did work. And it was after
Yes.
after he watched Ghostbusters 2? Is that what it said?
Yes, after Colin showed him Ghostbusters too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I genuinely was surprised it worked.
Yeah, because really, like, I'm not sure what other things that he's done, but I mean, even the monster probably wouldn't have been a success without Colin. And some of his other schemes, like the railroad, it's just like smoke and mirrors, basically. And
Pretty much.
so, yeah, it was a surprise that he was able to capture the ghost. And I mean, they do still have him, so maybe something will happen, like where the hourglass gets busted or something.
There is that possibility too. If we ever see Colin's vault of Funko Pops again.
Yeah. Colin's like full of like surprises and like hidden rooms, and I think maybe I've enjoyed him a lot this season,
Yeah.
of some of the surprises with him. So I'm glad they're kind of like doing a little bit more with him.
I do feel bad he never gets to have a friend. Anytime there's an opportunity for him to make a friend, it seems like something that the other vampires do messes it up for him. But in this case, like, it was not great that he had befriended him because he was a shitty ghost person. Alright, so I guess tune in next time when we talk about March Madness. Even though it won't be March, it'll just be further November.
Maybe I don't remember what the description said, but I'm thinking it's not about.
Yeah, I read
And
the description. I won't spoil it for you.
and that maybe it's genuinely some sort of illness, maybe.
So we'll talk about that next time. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, it would be super cool if you could subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review if you're on a platform where you can leave reviews. If you're watching this on YouTube instead of, say, your Apple Podcast, your Spotify, you could always leave a comment, and subscribes would be welcome there as well.
I think Spotify, you can leave comments on individual episodes.
Yes.
And share with your friends. And we also have another podcast, Mojo Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, where we talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and the original Powerpuff Girls episodes.
Yes, indeed we do. Yeah. So if you think you'd enjoy that as well, go get that a listen too. I guess until next time, remember, you're dead and out of this world. Goodbye.
Goodbye.